This podcast is part of the C-Suite Radio Network, turning the volume up on business.
Welcome to the Keep Leading Podcast, a podcast dedicated to promoting leadership development and sharing leadership insights. Here's your host, the Leadership Accelerator, Eddie Turner.
Welcome to the Keep Leading Podcast, a podcast for people passionate about leadership. It is dedicated to leadership development and leadership insights. I'm your host, Eddie Turner, the Leadership Accelerator. I work with leaders to accelerate performance and drive impact. I do that as an executive coach, partnering with senior leaders who are typically defined as director and above in organizations in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. I also work with emerging leaders in much the same way. I work with emerging leaders inside leading organizations and on college campuses as a lecturer, a leadership coach, and a workshop facilitator. I started this podcast for one reason. I am passionate about leadership. I believe good leadership has the power to transform lives, communities, organizations, and yes, the world. I've worked for some of the most admired companies in the world, such as Deloitte, Apple, General Electric, and others. I've seen some of the best leading the best. I'm part of several global organizations and board of directors. I've studied leadership at two great institutions, Northwestern University and Harvard. There are lots of views on leadership and leadership effectiveness, and lots of views on how to best develop oneself as a leader. I want to share my experience in this area and my network with you. So, every Friday, I invite you to tune in as I spend 30 minutes interviewing accomplished leaders and people of influence around the world. Listen as they share their journey to leadership excellence, leadership strategies, techniques, and insights. I invite you to subscribe to the Keep Leading Podcast. I invite you to share it with your network and leave a review for me on iTunes to let me know what you're thinking. I believe leadership is not about our title or our position. Leadership is an activity. Leadership is action. It's not the case of once a leader, always a leader. It's not a garment we put on and take off. We must be a leader at our core and allow it to emanate in all we do. So, my goal is that as a result of listening to this podcast, that no matter what you and I are doing, we will always keep leading.